Hey CardsChat members, today's video I think is going to apply to a whole bunch of you. So let's just dive right in. This is going to be a video response to one of the questions that I got in the AMA thread on the CardsChat forum. So one of the members with the screen name Sheepshaker messaged me and had a whole lot of questions about how to transition from playing online. Say you've done some free rolls, you've played some low stakes, and you're finally getting the hang of it, and now you want to take that leap and go play live. So his questions were all about what formula do you have going on in your brain during hands. Okay, so before we even get dealt cards, a lot of times in tournaments, you're just calculating stack sizes in your brain. The first stack size you want to know is your own. So if the big blind is 500, you have 5,000, you know you have 10 big blinds. That's the first thing that you need to answer for yourself before you get dealt any cards. Number two, the next thing I'm thinking about is what position am I in? Am I under the gun? Am I low jack? Instead of thinking about that bad beat you just took, the way to dial it in and let that go so that you can focus on the hand that's taking place right now is, what is my stack size? What position am I in? Boom. Now all of a sudden you're in the moment and it's very helpful. Ideally, you would know all of the stack sizes at the table, but if you're brand new to counting chips, it can take you a while to get used to. So focus on counting your own first. That's the most important. And the one other position I would recommend you always know what their stack size is the big blind. The big blind is going to play the widest range of hands against an open. So if you open from under the gun, you're most likely going to be up against the big blind, heads up in a pot. So you want to check, turn to the right, check out their stack, and make sure you know exactly how many big blinds they have before you even get dealt cards. If you want to get a little more advanced, I would start to pay attention to the button as well. That's the second most likely opponent to be in the hand with you. Okay, so we figured out those two things. And again, before you even get dealt cards, just imagine the range that you know you're supposed to be opening. And you don't have to think of the whole range. Just think, what's the weakest hands I'm opening? Like if I'm opening ace 10 off under the gun, then I know ace 9 off and everything below that's a fold. Okay, so part A of Sheepshaker's question says, how do you deal with keeping track of what's in the pot during all of the betting rounds? And he goes on to ask specifically, am I always calculating the pot every single time a bet goes in, or am I just kind of eyeballing it? And the answer is, when I first started, I definitely eyeballed it or kind of backtracked. Let's say we were on the flop, all of a sudden I kind of backtrack like, oh, how much is in the pot based on the pre-flop action? But yes, you should always strive to have some sort of running tally going in your mind of how much is in the pot. And honestly, that helps you stay focused as well and tune out all of those distractions that can sometimes happen in a live setting. I think I already answered part C where he said, do you think in big blind values or do you think in terms of actual bet sizes? Okay, I think that's a little bit different than I was first reading it. Okay, so pre-flop, I think in big blinds. So how many big blinds do I have? But post-flop, I'm thinking in terms of percentages of the pot for sure, which is a lot easier if you already have that running calculation of how much is in the pot. If you know it's 4,400 and you want to bet 50% on this flop, then you bet 2,200. It's pretty simple. All right, let's see what else is on here. Okay, part B. Do you ever take notes on players? And if yes, how and in which format? I tried to do it mentally, but that's how I would break it down. Loose passive, tight aggressive, loose aggressive. So those are the four ways that I sort of label the opponents at the table. This is a great way to use your break. So every 2 hours in a tournament, you get a break, anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes usually. It's a great time to forget the specifics of hands and just create almost counter strategies against the opponents that you've been playing with. Or if I know that the guy 2 to my left is extremely aggressive, then I might play a strat. I might start tightening up a little bit my opening range and expanding my 4-bet range for value. If I know that the guy 5 seats over from me is a really, really tight in the big blind and does not defend a lot, I'm going to widen up that range. Let's say I'm the low jack whenever that guy is in the big blind. I'm going to say, okay, when I go in there, I'm going to widen up my low jack opening range because it's going to get through a lot. stuff like that. So I would zoom out and kind of make macro adjustments to your current table. You can do this while you're at the table as well. I just find it's easier to take a breather when you're on break and do it then. Okay, and D, do you have any tips for training and getting used to the blind progressions and adapting to it? You're gonna feel like it takes a lot of work the first few times, like maybe the first few months of doing it. And all of a sudden you're gonna realize a lot of tournaments have the same blind levels. You're normally the same average stack around each point in the tournament. And you'll just know, okay, 30K at 1500 big blind, that's 20 bigs. Oh yeah, I should mention, a lot of people when they start live, they feel anxious a little bit, maybe a little bit overwhelmed, and so they play very quickly. Try to go against that instinct as much as possible and own your space and take as much time as you need to figure out the pot size. Trust me, you may think that you're taking a lot of time, but you're not. You're usually not taking as much time as you think. So own your space, take your time when you're trying to calculate the pot, and don't feel like you need to rush for anyone else. So yeah, I would recommend, especially if you're just starting out, just play slightly smaller stakes so that if you're distracted from the game itself and how everyone is playing because you're doing all of these calculations in your head, then play smaller stakes so that if things don't go well and you're having trouble keeping up with the action, you're losing less during this learning process. I'm gonna go through here, make sure there's nothing that I missed. All right, Sheepshaker, I hope that answered everything that you needed, and good luck out there in the live streets. If you have any more questions, post them in the AMA thread or on the comment section of this video, and I'll be happy to get back to you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.